Sagittarius friends, I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my Sagittarius August 2025 astrology horoscope forecast. So, wow, Sagittarius, fellow Sagittarius friends, I am one as well. We are standing at the crossroads of cosmic geometry and personal reinvention, where the physics of the astronomical laws that are present in our universe are reflecting back to us this massive review and rebirth. We've got faster moving fire signs, Mercury retrograde in fellow fire sign Leo. We've got the sun in fellow fire sign Leo making amazing aspects for us. That's at the more superficial level. At the deeper level, we've got Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron in fellow fire signs. And Saturn and Neptune are new to this party, but they're forming this rare sacred geometry, not only with each other, but also with our sign, only offering spiritual scaffolding, which is the Saturn's delight, that building of that inner skeleton, but also the Neptunian future visionary fuel. So we're not just talking about inspiration here. This is energetic architecture that is being reconstructed, aligning your drive with your destiny. I'm calling the theme of this month Fate Bending Stars, how the physics of the current astronomy is shaping your astrology. So I'm going to go off the deep end a little bit with some physics lessons to help you understand how everything above actually is below and show you the science behind that and how that manifests in our very obvious experience. This is for you if Sagittarius is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other Sag placement you're listening for. What I'm going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. Very late degree Sag friends like me, birthdays like December 15th through the rest of the sign, Sagittarius degrees, 23 degrees through the rest of the sign. I suggest you additionally listen to my Capricorn report because us very late degree Sages can benefit from both readings. Okay, so there's so much going on, and I'm going to just take it piece by piece and build up and then add in some physics, and we're going to have a good time here. Okay, so as I mentioned, on a more superficial level, we've got fast-moving planets, the sun and Mercury. Mercury in retrograde until August 11th. It's post-retrograde transit until August 26th, when the skies will open up and be free from personal planet retrogrades, just in time for those intense eclipses that are in September that we are feeling now because we're in the geometrical zone of influence for that orb of gravitational masses coming together. The influences will be showing in August. So we are in eclipse season in August. Perfect timing, because as the month progresses, we will have that clarity, we will have that oomph, we will have that open window. So if you've got to do something big, if news is coming in, just know that you don't have all the news yet. Probably all of it won't be delivered until at least the end of September, maybe even into October. But you can start to make sense of this as the month progresses. We will get to the eclipses later, though. So all of this is happening, and so we've got this boost of fire. We've got Saturn, Neptune, Ceres, and Chiron in Aries. We've got the sun and Mercury retrograde in Leo. Towards the end of the month, we have Venus moving into Leo, joining this Leo fire party. And what do those three planets, Venus, Mercury, and the sun, accentuate when they move through the ninth house? Well, the house of Sagittarius, of course. So everything that Saggies love most are going to be super, super, super active now. We love to learn. We love to teach. We love to expand our horizons. We love to travel. We like to watch travel shows. We like to write and speak and talk and interact with people. We like to ponder spiritual truths and the things that connect everything to all that is. And there will be a ton of opportunity to do all of that. Immigration, citizenship, future travel, current travel. August is going to be a fantastic time for all of that information to come in and for us to work with it in very wonderful ways. So yay, expanding horizons. Now, let's go back into this deeper story. Saturn and Neptune. We talked about Saturn being the spiritual scaffolding and Neptune being the visionary fuel. And Chiron is the wounded healer, where we turn our ailments into our alchemy. So all of this is happening at the same time as just in July, Uranus shifted into air sign Gemini, which is much more compatible with Sagittarius, energy of fire, because air and fire are a complementary team, than Uranus was in Taurus. That was quite a tough transit for us for around 7 years. If you've had a lot of tumultuousness with your health, you may start to see that starting to shift. So this is where new information coming in about that, because Uranus had been in the 6th house. If you are a later degree Sag in your Placidus chart, it will still be there. But the fact that it's moving into the 7th house in the whole house chart is going to be one level of truth where certain things are starting to shift out of that erraticness. So that's very exciting. Pluto in Aquarius, air sign, better angle for Sag than it had been since 2008, when it was in Capricorn for all that time until somewhat recently. So we've got all of the stars most of the stars very much on our side at this time, and we are feeling it. All right, so this is all happening. Electromagnetic shock waves are occurring. The ways that we take in information and put out information are not only in a very short-term boost, but also a long-term change. There is a story to be told for linear time. We buy into it. We see evidence of it. It is occurring on some level. But the rest of the levels of understanding time is that it's not moving in a straight line. It's warping around your evolution. And I'll give you a little sneak peek into what we're going to talk about as we get to the eclipses. But basically, Einstein discovered his general relativity theory, which talks about how time and space warp around objects of mass. So that's why we have gravitational fields. That's why all of the planets have their own gravitational fields, and they can have their own moons that circle around their gravitational fields, because they are objects of mass. And as Einstein says, time and space warp around those objects of mass. The reason why when we go out into space away from the gravitational field, time is different, because time is not only one thing. Time could be different things, okay? So what this means is that these fate-bending stars are opening up timelines where time can dissolve away and you can expand and step forward in ways that seem to defy logic, because it does defy logic, because time moving in a line, linear, equals logic. But that's not the whole picture of our total multidimensional being, right? The transits that are occurring, all the ones that I mentioned and more, they're not random. They're fields of gravitational and electromagnetic influence that are beautifully synchronized in this perfect flow. We can see the golden ratio present in the mean distance between each of the planets. There is this Fibonacci sequence that is present wherever we look, and we are part of that. And with the way that things are lining up now for Sagittarius, there's a tremendous amount of flow. Okay, so all of these energies in Aries, Saturn, Neptune, Ceres, and Chiron, are accentuating for Sagittarius the 5th house. 5th house, which is the house ruled by Leo, the house ruled by the sun. This is our hobbies, our fun things that we do, our romance and romantic connections and dating and love and children, conception and child rearing, our creative babies, our bucket list, the things that light us up like the sun. So we've got long-term planets affecting this area, and we have star goddess Ceres there as well, helping us to reap what we have already sowed from our creative world and helping us to plan for future crops in those arenas. Okay, so in physics, as we said, mass bends space and time. Okay, in astrology, the transits of these planets, which have great mass, these outer planets, are bending your timeline. So they draw out into time, into a linear experience, these storylines that seem that they're linear. So you're activating new storylines at this time. But then what happens when you add into this mix lineups like eclipses? All right, so as I mentioned before, 2 eclipses in September. September 7th, we have a 15-degree Pisces full moon lunar eclipse. September 21st, we have the 29-degree black moon, new moon solar eclipse. This is the 3rd sequence in the Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle that started at the end of 2024 that will continue into 2027. All right, so we'll talk more about this, the eclipses and such, in September as well. But we have to talk about them now because the sun will be entering the geometric zone of the gravitational bodies, starting to go into alignment. All right, and then what happens when they line up, Earth, Moon, and Sun, different order depending on whether it's solar or lunar, is it forms what's called a syzygy. S-Y-Z-Y-G-Y. Crazy word. Basically means a vector. It's this alignment. And the gravitational masses of each of the individual planets or masses, you know, the sun, moon, and the earth, now merge their fields. Okay? So when this happens, if you've listened to my work before, then you know I always talk at eclipse time as a time when time is bending. Okay? Because it literally is. When we have alignments like this, it changes the mass of the combination of the bodies, the heavenly bodies, and the space-time that warps around each of them becomes a merged field. So it creates this rift in the usual flow of time and space, which is why you can burn off a massive amount of karma at eclipse time. I've always talked about how you can burn up a massive amount of karma at eclipse time, but I've never really talked about why. And the reason I'm talking about it now, I've been going easy on you with the physics, but I just was at a couple of days ago, was at the Cincinnati Museum of History and Science, Natural History and Science. And I had a wonderful experience with an exhibit that they had where basically you stepped on this mat that you were interacting with, you were the object of mass, and you were interacting with the energies that were floating around. And you could see how the movements relating to space and time bent around you once you stepped on the mat, these erratic fields, once an object of mass got in their way or went there by them, that all of the energy started moving around them. We have mass as well, right? So it just it's only been a couple of days, so it's fresh on my mind. And so that's why it's coming in more into the reading, but hopefully you enjoy this understanding. Okay, so when we have this expansion of mass, it creates this rift in the matrix and the time-space continuum where you can leap light years ahead in your journey through important perceptual changes, conscious and unconscious. Things may seem to come from outside events. They may come through awarenesses inside, but you can travel on a completely different trajectory. So if you were here doing these things today that were going to put you on this path, then all of a sudden the eclipses come in, all this time-space bending, warping happens, the fate-bending stars and all of the other stuff with these gravitational masses coming together and making these alignments. And then now you are on this trajectory over here. And that's what happens at eclipse time. So we are there again. And this happens with some regularity. There's this, a cycle to this. And whenever it does, it opens up this time-space continuum for magic, for madness, for mayhem, for, just massive, massive change. So that is going on. And if we look specifically, now changes can come from anywhere. As I just showed you, there's so much active, especially in the Sag chart, because there's a lot going on at these cusps, the cusps of change. We've got Uranus at the 7th house cusp. we've got the eclipses at the 4th and 10th house cusps. And so 2024 to 2027, as these syzygies occur, these vectors, these lineups from the eclipses, we have the 4th house of home and family, which is also being accentuated by Jupiter moving into the sign of Cancer, our ruler. So home, family, housing, residence, ancestral connections, and the 10th house, which is our place out in the world, our work, our career, our employment. These are mother-father polarities. So this is what is being most activated, specifically for Sagittarius, by these energies that are aligning at this time. So a lot of changes may be occurring in your personal relationships. A lot of changes may be occurring in your home and family, and more are going to occur. And these timeline shifts are going to be possibly fast, possibly abrupt. And if you're actively working on manifesting, this can be an absolute dream. That's why working on manifesting at these times can be more powerful, because when you are focusing and telling your mind what it is you want to experience, if there's a way to fill that aligns with one of your destiny points, then the universe will have more wiggle room with these rifts in the matrix to make this happen for you. Vision boards, anything where your mantra, visualization, affirmation, all of these things can be more powerful at this time because of these laws of physics that are occurring. So, wow, that's a lot going on, huh? Now, if you want to know more about the eclipses, you do get access to my eclipse resource page when you sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. I'll talk more about that later. I just wanted to mention it now. A couple of other things I want to mention. August 9th, we've got a full moon at 17 degrees Aquarius. And for Saggies, that's going to be in the 3rd house. Fullness, completion, fruition, drama comes to mobility, conversation, devices, siblings, relatives, and something could come out. There could be a discussion, an important discussion with one of those relatives. There could be, maybe you finish a book, or maybe you have something notable happen in your education with your teaching and learning, something like that. And it's full in the sign of Aquarius, so community, friendships, and neighbors. 3rd house also very much rules neighbors, your neighborhood. There may be something going on there. The days are on August 11th. I told you Mercury will go direct. August 22nd to 23rd, we've got the new moon at 0 degrees of Virgo. Now, you may remember that I just said September 21st, we have a black moon eclipse, new moon eclipse. That's because the black moon is the second new moon in a sign or in a calendar month. In this case, it's a sign. This new moon on August 22nd to 23rd will be at 0 degrees of Virgo. The one on September 21st will be at 29 degrees of Virgo, making it a black moon. Very, very, very powerful. But some of the storylines that are going to occur with this moon cycle and the eclipse are going to have their origins or more obvious actions at this time. All right, so you can look for that. And specifically for Saggies, this is going to occur right here in the 10th house, which is the same place that I told you the eclipses are acting as well, which is the same place that Mars is for a little while longer, bringing your focus on your work and career, possibly one of your parents also needing attention or helping you. So yeah, there's a lot going on. Now, Jupiter has started moving through your 8th house of other people's money. This gives you a year of, talk about jumping timelines, a year of money manifestation that is off the charts, okay? The chance for people to give you money, for you to win money, for you to be awarded money, for you to be able to borrow money, for you to be gifted money, inheritances, finding money. This is all supercharged for Saggies over the next year. And I've told this story before. Whenever I see Jupiter through the 8th house. But something that happened to me a while ago, some Jupiter cycles ago, is that I had Jupiter moving through my 8th house, did not know anything about astrology, so I did not know this, but I went through this super lucky phase for winning stuff. And everything I put my name in, like for sweepstakes and stuff, I won. It was crazy. So much so that a friend of mine noticed and said, hey, I want to win that thing. It was when I was at my corporate job, and he said, you're really lucky right now. Will you like win it for me? And I did. I put my name in, I won it, and I gave it to him. When I looked back at that time, Jupiter was moving through my 8th house. So it's fun to kind of see that. So if you are working on getting to a deeper level of financial solidity, expansion, deeper work into the lesser seen things in the world, deeper intimacy, deeper emotional connection, deeper family bonding, all of that may be accompanying this Jupiter transit. Okay, so if you love how I teach and you want to learn astrology either for your own personal purposes or to do it professionally, go to beastropro.com and see my very comprehensive Astrology Mastery Certification course. If you want to understand how all of these planets changing signs may affect your personal chart, then go to Annie B. Clarity, Annie, the letter B, clarity.com to see my outer planet transit report that's personalized. I also have additional general information about the general transits in that, just to boost your general understanding of what's happening. Earlier, I alluded to the fact that you can go to anniehelpsyou.com, sign up for my free email newsletter, get the welcome letter, put August 2025 astrology in the archive search button, and get my write-up. Midway down, you'll find the sweet and salty dates, and the whole second half of that very long newsletter is dedicated to expanding upon my favorite days of the month, what you can use them for, and the ones to be most awareful and careful of. You also get my eclipse resource page access, my retrograde resource page access, and you get my zodiac health tips and more. So, Saggy friends, look out and be ready for fate-bending stars at this time. We are opening this portal of a few months of this intensity. Life in many ways may not be the same after this time, so this is your opportunity to go through this consciously since you have been informed. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.